The sun was barely rising over the jagged mountains of Zythera when Alex Carter adjusted the straps on his combat pack. His boots sank slightly into the red dust of the alien planet, and a cold wind carried the scent of ozone and burnt metal from yesterday's skirmish. Alex had seen war before, but nothing like this. The sky shimmered with strange colors, a mixture of violet clouds and streaks of emerald light from the planet's magnetic storms. "Carter." "Move," shouted Lieutenant Bren, waving at him from a nearby ridge. Soldiers of the Coalition were already preparing for another patrol. The Zytheran army had sent messages asking for human assistance, and Alex had volunteered without hesitation. He had no reason to doubt his own courage, though he knew humans were often underestimated by alien civilizations. He scanned the horizon with his visor. The mountains were beautiful in a harsh way, but danger lurked everywhere. The rival faction, the Vryn, had been relentless in their attacks. Their ships cut through the sky like hunting birds, and their energy weapons left burns on the planet's surface. Today, Alex knew the stakes were higher. A loud alarm sounded across the Coalition base. A holographic map flickered above a control panel, showing a convoy under attack. Alex felt a chill. One of the units was carrying Princess Lyra, the young heir to the Zytheran throne. Her kingdom had been caught off guard before, and now she was in immediate danger. "Princess Lyra's convoy has been hit." Lieutenant Bren shouted, urgency in his voice. "We need a rapid response team now." Without a word, Alex sprinted toward the drop pods. His heart raced, but fear did not stop him. He had trained for this, but instinct told him this mission would be different. He knew humans were considered fragile compared to the Zytherans, whose bodies were stronger and more durable. But Alex also knew humans had something else: courage, ingenuity, and the will to fight against impossible odds. The drop pods shook violently as they were launched into the sky. Alex gripped the handles tightly, watching the world below blur into streaks of red and orange. He could see the convoy now ships smoking, some flipped over, and Zytheran soldiers struggling to defend the princess. Then he saw her. Princess Lyra's sleek silver armor was partially crushed under a fallen energy barrier. Her long, dark hair flowed in the wind as she struggled to lift herself. A beam of energy arced dangerously close to her, leaving scorch marks on the ground. Alex did not hesitate. He jumped from the pod before it fully landed, rolling to absorb the impact. Dust and debris clouded the area, but he pushed through. Soldiers tried to hold him back, but he waved them aside. "Step back. I'm going in." Alex ran across the battlefield, dodging blasts and fallen metal. He could hear the screams of Zytheran soldiers, the roars of distant Vryn fighters, and the sharp crackle of energy weapons. His own suit had shields, but even they could not protect him from everything. Still, he pressed on. Princess Lyra's eyes met his for a brief moment, wide with shock. She had heard stories of humans being fragile, easily injured, unable to survive real combat. But here was one running toward her, fearless, ignoring the dangers that would make most of her own people hesitate. Alex reached the fallen barrier. The energy field around it flickered and pulsed. Anyone trapped inside would be burned or crushed if it collapsed further. Lyra struggled against the metal, but it was too heavy. Without thinking, Alex grabbed one side of the barrier and heaved with all his strength. He felt a sharp pain in his shoulder as metal scraped against his armor, but he ignored it. "Hold on," he shouted. "I've got you." Lyra's eyes widened, a mixture of fear and amazement. No human had ever spoken to her like that before. She tried to help him, but she was trapped too tightly to lift anything herself. Together, they pushed, sparks flying as energy arcs collided with metal. The ground shook. Then suddenly, a massive energy pulse hit the barrier. Alex was thrown backward, hitting the ground hard. Pain shot through his chest, but he rolled over and struggled to get up. He could not let this stop him. The princess was still trapped. "Alex," Lyra cried, her voice shaking. "It's too dangerous. You'll die." "Not today," he yelled, ignoring the throbbing pain. He ran again, calculating the timing of the pulses, dodging falling debris, and pushing himself faster than he thought possible. Every step brought him closer to her. Finally, he reached her side. He grabbed her arm, then another, lifting her carefully. Her armor scraped against the barrier, but he kept moving, guiding her out of danger. The last energy pulse hit just as they cleared the collapsing metal. Alex stumbled, nearly falling, but the princess caught him, steadying him. They landed in a crater, dust rising around them. Both were breathing heavily, hearts racing. Lyra looked at him, her violet eyes wide. She had heard tales of human bravery, but she had never imagined seeing it with her own eyes. You saved me," she whispered. Alex shook his head, trying to mask the pain in his shoulder. "We both made it. That's what matters." The battlefield was far from over. Vrinships hovered in the distance, and more energy pulses streaked across the horizon. Alex helped Lyra to her feet, scanning for the next danger. Soldiers were regrouping, but they were few. The princess needed to get back to the palace to safety. "Can you walk?" Alex asked. Lyra nodded, still shaken but determined. Together, they began to move toward the extraction point. Along the way, Alex protected her, deflecting falling debris and warning her of incoming attacks. Soldiers began to notice his courage, whispering among themselves, "A human, and he's not afraid." The closer they got to safety, the more Alex realized the danger he had placed himself in. His shoulder burned, his chest ached, and fatigue weighed heavily on him. But he could not stop. Not when the princess's life depended on him. Finally, they reached the extraction point. A Zitharan shuttle hovered, shields active, ready to take off. Lyra climbed inside first, then turned to help Alex. He was exhausted, almost collapsing, but she grabbed his arm. "You don't have to come," she said softly. "Go, save yourself." "I'm not leaving you," he replied. His voice was steady, though his body screamed for rest. With a final push, he climbed aboard. The shuttle lifted off, dodging the last of the enemy fire. From the window, Alex could see the battlefield stretching out below, red dust, burning metal, and fallen soldiers. The princess sat next to him, quietly observing. "I've never seen anyone do what you just did," Lyra said finally. You're remarkable." Alex smiled faintly, though the pain was sharp. "I'm just human," he said. "But humans. We fight when it matters. We don't give up, not when someone's life is at stake." Lyra's gaze softened. "I believed humans were fragile. I believed you couldn't withstand real danger. But you proved me wrong." The shuttle landed in the palace courtyard. Guards rushed to assist them, scanning for any lingering threat. Alex collapsed gently into the waiting medical team's arms. He had pushed his body to the limit. The palace's medics worked quickly, stabilizing him. Lyra stayed close, watching every movement. She had grown up surrounded by warriors, but never had she seen courage like this. It was not strength alone that impressed her, it was heart, determination, and the willingness to risk everything for another. As night fell over Zythera, the princess stood by Alex's bedside, silently thanking the stars that he had survived. Outside, the city's lights shimmered in patterns unique to the alien world. Somewhere far above, Queen Solara observed from her chamber. Reports of the human soldiers' heroism had reached her ears. She was intrigued, cautious, but undeniably impressed by the end of the first day. Word of Alex Carter's bravery had spread through the palace. Soldiers, courtiers, and even citizens whispered about the human who had defied death for their princess. Lyra herself could not stop thinking about him, about his courage, and about the strange connection she felt toward someone from a species she had barely trusted before. For Alex, there was no thought of glory or reward. He only knew one thing. He would do it all over again if it meant protecting someone's life. His actions had already begun to change the Zitharan's perception of humanity. For the first time, they saw humans as more than fragile beings. They saw them as heroes capable of great deeds. As the night deepened and the stars shimmered over Zythera, Alex rested, unaware that his act of bravery had just begun a chain of events that would bind him to the royal family forever. Princess Lyra's admiration, the whispers of the court, and the watchful gaze of the alien queen set the stage for a story that would test courage, loyalty, and the power of the human heart against the vastness of the galaxy. The morning light on Zithara's palace reflected off the crystalline towers, making the city shimmer like a sea of stars. Inside the royal chambers, Alex Carter lay on a medical cot, his human body still healing from the injuries he had sustained while saving Princess Lyra. His muscles ached. His shoulder throbbed, and his chest still burned from the energy pulse that had nearly ended his life. Yet, even in pain, his mind was alert. Princess Lyra hovered near his bedside, her violet eyes filled with concern. "You shouldn't push yourself so soon," she said softly. "You risked your life already. Let the medics take care of you." Alex shook his head with a faint smile. "I'll be fine. Humans recover quickly. When we need to." Lyra's lips curved in a faint smile, though her eyes betrayed worry. "You amaze me, Alex. No one knows Zitharin. No human has ever done what you did. You faced death without hesitation." Before Alex could reply, a soft chime echoed through the chamber. The doors slid open, revealing a figure in regal attire, Queen Solara, Lyra's mother. Her tall frame, adorned with golden ornaments and a flowing robe of deep blue, radiated authority. Her eyes, sharp and calculating, fixed on Alex with interest. "Alex Carter," the Queen's voice was calm but commanding. "You have saved my daughter's life. That is commendable." Alex rose as best he could, forcing himself to stand. "Thank you, Your Majesty. I only did what anyone would do." Solara studied him for a long moment, her gaze piercing. Humans often claim courage, yet many fail when faced with true danger. You survived and acted without hesitation. That is unusual." Lyra stepped closer to her mother. "He is remarkable, Mother. You must see it yourself." Solara's expression softened for a fraction of a second, but she quickly regained her regal composure. "Remarkable, perhaps. But one act does not make a man worthy of royal trust. Alex Carter, I wish to see what kind of human you truly are. Tomorrow, you will face challenges designed to test your mind, your body, and your heart." Alex's brow furrowed slightly. "Challenges? What kind of challenges?" "Challenges of survival, strategy, and honor," Solara replied. "You will face situations where strength alone is not enough. You will demonstrate whether your courage is true, whether your decisions are wise, and whether your loyalty is unwavering." Lyra's eyes lit up with curiosity and excitement. "Alex, you can do this. I believe in you." Alex exhaled slowly. He knew this would not be easy. Zitharans were powerful, intelligent, and meticulous. Their tests would be unlike anything he had faced on Earth, but he also knew humans had something the Zitharans often overlooked: adaptability. Quick thinking and determination could overcome many obstacles. The next day, Alex was escorted to the royal testing grounds, a massive arena that combined natural terrain with advanced simulations. The ground was uneven, scattered with boulders, streams of flowing energy, and strange shifting structures. Solara, Lyra, and a panel of royal advisors watched from an elevated platform. "Your first test," Solara announced, "is a challenge of survival. You will navigate this terrain to reach the energy core at the center, which simulates a power collapse threatening the city. You have limited time. Avoid hazards and ensure the core remains intact." Alex studied the arena. Energy pulses arced unpredictably, and the terrain shifted with mechanical precision. Every step required careful calculation. He moved cautiously at first, testing his instincts, and began to run, dodging blasts, leaping over gaps, and sliding under falling debris. He reached the core, analyzing the problem quickly. The energy field around it was unstable. Using a portable stabilizer he had devised in his pack, Alex adjusted the frequencies, preventing an overload. Sparks flew, and the arena trembled, but he succeeded. Solara's lips curved into a faint, approving smile. Lyra's eyes shone with admiration. "You didn't just survive," she whispered. "You solved it." Alex nodded, breathing heavily. "Humans. We find solutions when needed." The second test was one of strategy. Alex was placed in a simulated battlefield, commanding a small unit of Zitharan soldiers against virtual Vryn invaders. The simulation was realistic, with moving terrain, unpredictable enemy tactics, and resource limitations. Alex quickly assessed the situation. He divided his forces into flanking units, set traps in narrow passes, and used decoys to confuse the enemy. The Zithran soldiers followed his commands with precision, and within minutes, the invading forces were cornered and neutralized. Solara observed silently, her expression unreadable. She had seen many strategists fail under pressure, even Zithran commanders. But Alex's human intuition and adaptability allowed him to succeed where sheer strength alone would have failed. Lyra clapped softly, barely able to contain her excitement. "You're amazing, Alex. Even our best strategists would struggle with this." Alex gave her a faint smile. "It's about thinking, not just strength. Humans. We can surprise others when we have to." The third and final test was one of ethics and heart. Alex was placed in a simulated city under siege. Innocent civilians were trapped, and he had to choose between saving the most lives or capturing a high-value target, the leader of the Vryn invaders. The simulation was designed to test morality, judgment, and selflessness. Alex paused, thinking carefully. The simulation's AI calculated the optimal outcome if he pursued the target maximum tactical advantage, but high civilian casualties. His human instinct told him otherwise. He led his small unit to evacuate the civilians first. Using creative methods to bypass obstacles, neutralize threats, and protect everyone. Once the civilians were safe, he turned to capture the enemy leader. The simulation ended. Solara's expression softened slightly. She nodded once. "You chose compassion first, then strategy. That is rare. Many would sacrifice morality for power. You did not." Lyra stepped forward, her voice trembling with pride. "Mother, he has proven himself. Not just in strength, not just in skill, but in heart. He is worthy of respect, worthy of the kingdom's trust." Solara regarded Alex for a long moment. "You have passed the tests. You have demonstrated courage, intelligence, and honor. You are extraordinary, Alex Carter." Alex exhaled, relief washing over him. He had survived the trials, but more importantly, he had proven something to himself and to the Zithrans. That humans could rise to challenges no one expected them to meet. Despite his success, political tension simmered beneath the surface. Some Zithran nobles whispered doubts about a human being involved with royal affairs. "He is only human," they muttered. "Fragile, untested against true alien threats." Others, inspired by Alex's courage, began to question old prejudices. One evening, as Alex trained in the palace courtyard, Lyra approached him quietly. "Alex, the queen is impressed?" "Yes. But there are others who are not. They will try to challenge you to test your place here." Alex paused, wiping sweat from his brow. "I expected that. Humans are underestimated everywhere we go. But I don't fear their doubts. I only care about doing what is right." Lyra's hand brushed his arm. "You're unlike anyone I've ever known. Brave, smart, and kind. Even my mother. Even she is beginning to see it." Alex smiled faintly. "Humans are full of surprises. I guess you'll see more of them." Days passed, and the bond between Alex and Lyra grew. She shared stories of her childhood, of Zithra's history, and of the responsibilities she would one day inherit. Alex listened, fascinated. Despite the alien culture, he found similarities, values of honor, loyalty, and courage mirrored his own upbringing on Earth. Then came a message from the palace. Advisors, the Vryn were planning a major assault on the capital. Intelligence indicated that this would be the largest attack the city had faced in decades. Alex volunteered immediately to help plan the defense. Solara watched him with interest. "You are putting yourself at risk again," she said. Alex met her gaze steadily. "I do not fear danger, Your Majesty. I only fear failing those who cannot defend themselves." The queen nodded slowly. She had tested him, observed him, and now she saw a quality even her own people sometimes lacked: unwavering dedication. Alex Carter, the human, had not only survived, he had earned respect and perhaps even admiration beyond what anyone could have imagined. Lyra, standing nearby, felt a mixture of pride and worry. "Promise me you'll be careful," she whispered. Alex reached out, placing a hand gently over hers. I will, but I will not run from what must be done." As night fell over Zythera, Alex gazed at the stars through the palace balcony. He knew the coming battle would be dangerous, possibly deadly. Yet he felt ready. Humans were resilient. Humans were adaptable. And humans, when faced with impossible odds, could achieve the extraordinary. Solara, watching from her chambers above, felt a new respect for the human soldier. He was no ordinary man. He had proven himself in courage, intelligence, and heart. The Queen realized that Alex Carter's place in their world was more than temporary. He had already begun to change perceptions, and perhaps he would change the fate of Zythera forever. And in that quiet moment, high above the city, Alex made a silent promise to himself and to the princess he had saved. No matter the danger, no matter the challenge, he would protect this world and the people he had come to care for with every ounce of strength he had. From the palace balcony, Alex Carter watched dozens of Rin war cruisers descending like great metal beasts. The air crackled with tension. Energy alarms blared through the city streets, and civilians hurried toward shelters. The Zithran guardians, assembled in formation, shields glowing in their hands. Princess Lyra stood beside Alex, her armor polished, her eyes steady but filled with quiet concern. "This attack, it's bigger than any before. They're coming straight for the capital." Alex nodded. "They want to capture the palace. If they take it, they'll take the whole kingdom." Queen Solara approached them, her long robe flowing behind her like a river of starlight. She carried herself with regal calm, but her voice made the air tremble. "Alex Carter," she said firmly, "you have already proven your strength. But today, we'll decide everything. Will you stand with us once more?" Alex turned to face her fully. "I will stand in front of you if I have to. No one is laying a hand on your people while I'm still breathing." Solara paused. For the first time since he had met her, her expression softened into something warm, most like pride. "Then you lead my soldiers today," she declared. "Not as an outsider, but as one of us." Lyra's eyes widened with emotion. Alex stood speechless for a moment, but then nodded decisively. "I will not fail you." The battlefield formed just outside the palace grounds. Alex stood at the front line beside Captain Rallick, one of the strongest Zithran commanders. Armored, guardians lined both sides, their energy shields glowing like stars. Above them, the sky lit up as Zithran defense cannons fired beam after beam at the incoming ships. Explosions rumbled like thunder. One massive Vrin cruiser broke through the defenses, landing with a crash that split the stone ground. Its doors slid open, releasing squads of enemy warriors in sleek black armor. "Shields up," Alex shouted. The Zitherans formed a wall of glowing barriers. Alex stood firm among them, gripping his energy rifle. Blaster shots rained like fiery rain, striking the shield wall. Sparks flew, but the line held. "Wait for it," Alex commanded. The Vrin ran closer, confident their numbers would break through. Now Alex signaled, and the front line split. Hidden Zitharan archers released a wave of electric nets that crackled across the enemy ranks, stunning dozens of attackers at once. Alex and Rallick charged forward, leading the counterattack. Alex ducked under a blade strike, rolled across the ground and swept the enemy's legs before striking him down with precision. Two more came at him, spun, blocking one strike with his forearm shield and firing at the other. His movements were swift, efficient human reflexes, mixed with battlefield instinct. Above them, where enemy ships broke through the clouds. "We need to stop their reinforcements," Rallick shouted. Alex scanned the sky. A generator tower controlling the Vrin drop field pulsed in the distance. If he could disable it, their ships would be forced to retreat higher. "I'm going for that generator," Alex said. "It's too risky," Rallick warned. "You'll be isolated." Alex smiled faintly. "That's never stopped me before." He dashed across the battlefield, using debris as cover. Energy blasts scorched the ground around him, heating the air. He slid behind a fallen turret just as 3 enemy drones flew overhead. He picked up a broken spear from the ground and hurled it with all his strength. It pierced through one drone, causing it to spiral into the others. All 3 crashed spectacularly. Up ahead, the generator tower hummed loudly. Sparks arced around it like lightning. It was heavily guarded. Alex crouched behind a pile of rubble, catching his breath. His shoulder throbbed from earlier wounds, but he fought through the pain. "Come on, Alex," he muttered to himself. "One more impossible task." He waited for the guards to turn, then sprinted full speed toward the structure. A Vryn warrior spotted him and fired. Alex slid under the beam, rolled to his feet, and jumped onto the side ladder of the tower. Climbing quickly, he reached the control panel at the top. It buzzed with alien code symbols he barely understood. But he didn't need to understand everything. He only needed to disrupt it. He opened the casing with his knife, then rewired to power conduits using the small stabilizer tool from his belt. Sparks flew. The tower began to overload. "Time to leave," Alex muttered, leaping from the platform. He landed hard, rolling through the dust. Behind him, the tower crackled with unstable energy boom. It erupted into a brilliant explosion, causing nearby enemy ships to lose control and drift upward. Able to deploy forces, Alex coughed through the smoke and stood up slowly. His body trembled from exhaustion, but he was still standing. Princess Lyra watched the explosion from the palace steps. "That was him," she whispered with pride. "He did it." Queen Solara remained silent, but her eyes gleamed. The battlefield shifted. With reinforcements cut off, the Zitherans gained ground. Alex returned to the front, bruised but determined. Rollick met him with a fierce grin. "You humans are much harder to destroy than I believed." Alex laughed breathlessly. "We get that a lot." Together, they pushed the enemy back. Guardians formed protective domes for the injured, while Alex led a final charge toward the enemy commandera. Towering Vryn in obsidian armor, the commander roared, raising a massive energy axe. Alex held his ground. He narrowly dodged each swing, analyzing the pattern. When the commander brought the axe down with full force, Alex rolled aside and struck the power pack on the warrior's back with an electric charge. The pack sparked, and the commander's armor shut down. Alex stepped forward and placed his hand gently on the defeated warrior's chest. "This war ends today." The battlefield grew quiet. The remaining Vryn forces saw their leader fall and surrendered. The city bells rang across Zithra, signaling victory. The citizens emerged from shelters, cheering and waving glowing banners. Soldiers raised their weapons, shouting in joy. Alex was surrounded by guardians who clapped his shoulders with respect, but all noise faded when Princess Lyra approached him. She walked toward him slowly, her armor shining under the sun. Alex straightened himself despite his exhaustion. Lyra stopped in front of him, her eyes both emotional and proud. "You saved me." "Then you saved my people," she said softly. "How can I ever repay that?" Alex shook his head with a gentle smile. "You already did. You believed in me." Lyra's eyes softened further. "I believe in you, Noand, always." Queen Solara descended from the palace steps, followed by her council. The crowd silenced instantly. She stood before Alex, regale as the stars yet warmer than ever before. "Alex Carter," she announced, her voice echoing through the courtyard. "You came to our world as a stranger. You were doubted. You were challenged. Yet you stood firm not for glory, but for honor." She paused, her gaze steady. "You have earned more than respect. You have earned a place among you as forever." Gasps rippled through the crowd. Queen Solara stepped forward and placed a golden crest upon Alex's chest, the symbol of the royal protectorate. "You are now a royal protector of Zithra," she declared. "Defender of our kingdom, guardian of our future." Alex felt his heart tighten. He did not fight for reward, but this honor weighed more than medals from any human world. Lyra smiled with quiet pride. But then Queen Solara spoke again, this time more softly. And more than that, she looked at her daughter, then back at Alex. "You have won something far rarer than titles." Alex blinked, unsure of her meaning. Solara gave a rare, gentle smile. "You have won our hearts." The crowd erupted in cheers. Alex looked at Lyra, who stepped closer, her hand finding his. He held it tightly. That evening, the palace was filled with celebration. Lights danced in the air like living stars. Music flowed through every hall. Aliens and humans alike toasted in unity. Alex stood on the balcony once more this time, not as an outsider, but as a symbol of hope. Lyra joined him quietly. "Does it feel strange?" she asked. "A little," Alex admitted. "I came here just to help. I never thought I'd belong." Lyra smiled. "You don't just belong. You are part of our future now." She hesitated, then spoke softly. "Will you stay?" Alex looked at her bright eyes, her brave spirit, her kindness. He didn't answer with words. Instead, he gently placed his hand over hers again. Lyra's smile widened. Far above them, Queen Solara watched from her chamber window. For the first time in many years, her heart was calm. She whispered to herself, almost with affection, that human defied death for my daughter. Now, he is family. And under the glowing stars of Zythera, Alex Carter, once just a soldier from Earth, now stood as a legend. Not because of his strength, not because of his origin, but because of his heart.